We spent a lot of time this past weekend. I mean, a lot of time interviewing 9 of the different recruits.
How about that?
And thanks again to Tanner Sports Bar and Grill and Tavern 180 for sponsoring these recruit spotlight interviews that we did here on Husker Online. And we're going to plan to do more of these. And Tanner's wants to keep doing it. And we've got other sponsors that are interested in it now as well after seeing how well it went this last weekend. But I want to get to what you picked up from the weekend, and I'll share my thoughts as well. But when you sit back and look at the guys we talked to, the conversations we had with some of the best football players in America right here in the studio, what were some of your thoughts?
Oh, the 2 California kids, super highly ranked, Brandon Baker, the top ranked offensive tackle in the country, and Nate Frazier, the number 1 running back in California. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. And I don't want to build false hope here, but they seemed genuinely interested in Nebraska, especially Frazier. But also, I wouldn't, like, if I were a Nebraska fan, I would not count out those guys. Now, it's going to be tough. You got to pull them from the West Coast, particularly with Baker. You have to pull him from Oregon, where his brother played. And clearly, Oregon has been a favorite. But if you listen to him and if you read recent comments he's made, Oregon changed offensive line coaches, and that definitely affected the conversation. Nebraska clearly made an impression on Brandon Baker. And you heard Frazier. You heard that, everybody heard it that watched the interview. He was excited about Nebraska. So we'll see where it goes, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, of all the videos we did, those got the most views, and Frazier actually got the most. I mean,
is that right?
People loved that guy's personality, and I mean, he was fun. We could have done a whole show with that guy.
Yeah, he's a running back, and his dad was here, and his CJ kind of laid out the running back tradition for him, or part of it. You know, he kind of had an awareness of the running back tradition. The young Nathaniel. So yeah, okay. And then I would say, I thought it was interesting. Gatlin Bear just kind of dropped into the conversation that he's the most highly recruited player to ever come out of Idaho. He volunteered that.
Gatlin had a little bit of Nathan Gary to him. Like he did. He reminded me of Nate Gary at that age. He's probably an inch taller than Nate was, but similar speed, confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, they look alike.
They kind of do. He's a little leaner, this Gatlin Bear, right?
I mean, Nate was like 195.
Okay. So he was like, yeah, you remember him better than I do. I remember him as a Husker. He got big, right?
Yeah, he kind of ballooned up, and I mean, he looked like a superhero by the end of his career.
He did.
I mean, his arms were just freakish.
Yeah. So Gatlin Bear, his confidence was striking for sure. And then he's the one who told Brian Munson that, I mean, he just laid it out. He said, Nebraska's going to run the ball. They're going to try to pull the safeties down. And he said, that's where I come in. They won't be able to the defense won't be able to put everybody in the box because I'll be here. I mean, it was sort of
think about, I mean, Garrett McGuire, like, you know, I think people have had their thoughts on hiring a younger coach, but I've watched him in practice. I've been impressed with Garrett McGuire. He's very hands-on. He's very, you know, the players look like they respond well to him, but Gatlin Bear, you know,
he said he's intrigued by the idea of learning with a coach. Interesting way to put it.
They connected well, though.
Yeah, they definitely connect. Yeah, I think, put it this way, my impression was if Nebraska gets Gatlin Bear, McGuire, well, of course he'll be a leading reason, but it almost sounded like he'd be the reason. He really likes him. So that's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah, Gatlin Bear this week got a Georgia offer. Think about all the access and talent Georgia.
Gatlin Bear did?
Yeah, Gatlin Bear. Think about all the talent they have access to. Yeah. And they offered an Idaho receiver.
How about it? How about that? And then what you noticed, Sean, these guys, these high-end recruits are fascinating because they're going all over the place and everybody wants them to visit, and they go visit. Those kids from Connecticut, Jacob Smith and Gerard, they're like they're like professional recruits. I mean,
I've never seen guys get around like they have.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, they were at Alabama, Georgia, Nebraska last week. This week they're at Michigan.
Yeah.
Notre Dame. I mean, they go everywhere.
Yeah, and what was striking about the Smith twins is their confidence. God, they're confident. I mean, I guess I would be too if I had people showering me with praise and wanting me to come to their campus all the time, but theirs was really striking. I mean, those are valuable players, Sean. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Nebraska needing defensive pop up front. Well, that's what those guys are. They're defensive pop up front. One's a pass rusher, one's an interior lineman.
And to be clear, I think Georgia and Alabama are probably
looks like
the teams to beat. Yeah. And, we'll see where that all goes, those guys. But I think the two sleeper guys of the weekend, and I hate to call any of those guys sleepers because they're all nationally touted, ranked, but Gage Ginther. I think they're in great. And then Eli Newby.
Yeah, interesting.
The lowest two ranked guys that we talked to, but I say that, tongue in cheek because Ginther's got the best offers of any player in Colorado.
See, Ginther, his dad played at UNK, and his dad, it reminds me sort of a Dominic Raiola, Dylan Raiola 2.0. Dominic loves Nebraska, and he's going to be influential in Dylan's decision. Gage, you heard Gage Ginther just say, yeah, my dad's going to play a big part in this, and he loves Nebraska. And if this kid had a good visit, Nebraska's going to be prominent in his thoughts. And he sounds like he did, according to Brian.
And then he did say that the situation with the Big 12 has his attention.
Yeah. Oh, it does. The situation meaning it's not, it's not as stable as the Big 10. In the Big 10, he says, is where they play the best football, the SEC and the Big 10.
I don't care if they have Coach Prime. Like, you're looking, there's other things going on. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but did he strike you as a Deion Sanders guy?
No lineman strikes me as a Deion Sanders guy. I mean, Deion Sanders, he's going to, he's going to recruit good corners. He already has. They have two incredibly gifted corners right now that he got there that they'll probably start against Nebraska. I don't know, Sean. Now I got to say, what coaches will tell you about Deion Sanders is his teams are tough. So I don't want to go down the road of disparagement or anything like that. Any coach that I've ever talked to says, simple, don't, that flash is one thing. His teams are going to be tough. They're going to be tough teams. So I don't know what to make of it. It was interesting listening to Carter Nelson.
Yeah, about Coach Prime.
Yeah, he said that they're making Prime's brand so prominent, and it seemed like it gave him a little pause.
Bigger than the school itself.
Yeah. And he said, I don't know what to think about that. But then he said he had a good personal meeting with him, and he's not all flash. He's very down to earth.
I mean, I like Nebraska's chances though with Ginther and Carter Nelson. I mean, I think we didn't talk about Eli Newby. I think he's a priority guy. I think
he should be,
and he's got a really good wingspan. He's 6'3", but he's probably got like a 6'5" wingspan.
Really impressive athlete. I mean, really impressive looking athlete. I mean, it's exactly what you need.
And his personality, and he's from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm one of the few pretty people in Nebraska that've been to Bridgeport. It's a tough city.
We got to talk about something here, Sean. I think people are going to get tired of us talking about Deion Sanders. We got to be careful with that.
That game, though, I'm just thinking about going out there to Boulder. That will be his first home game. Do you understand how full that press box is going to be?
Do you understand what a crazy day that's going to be, period? I mean, come on. It's Nebraska, Colorado in its prime. And is there any second game?
Okay, like it's going to be a fight between Fox and ABC for that game. Whoever has the pick that week, and
if they're smart, and if those executives are smart,
we'll know. But God, if you're Fox, like they're so big on big noon kickoff, do you put that game at big noon kickoff because it's 10 a.m. in Boulder?
I don't know.
Or do you say we're going to put big noon kickoff in prime time for Coach Prime? I mean,
they might do that. They might.
Doesn't that sound?
It's not only Prime, and it's not only Rule in his second game. You can't forget about the Nebraska-Colorado dynamic.
That game is going to be insane.
The Nebraska-Colorado dynamic. You were there last time. It was heat. That was hot. I mean, that game felt hot. Not weather-wise,
not kids, like grown men and women came on the field and they were like flipping off the Nebraska players.
There were grown men grabbing their junk. I mean, it was really off-putting.
I've never seen, and Megan, if you have time to look on the back end, Getty Images has photos from 2019 Nebraska, Colorado of the grown men on the field.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like couple.
No,
It was several hundred grown men on the
It
field.
was mildly disturbing.
I just spilled my coffee over that.
That's awesome. It was mildly disturbing. And Sean, but that was hot that day. The intensity was so. It was.
Well, Nebraska blew a big lead.
Yeah, and that's when Adrian dropped cuss words in the press conference afterwards. I mean, that was a horrible loss.
That game
it was a horrible
changed
loss.
I get it right this week. The trajectory.
Trajectory.
I got it right this week,
job.
folks, of the Scott Frost era. And I think Megan might be fine. There it is right there. There's some of the grown men on the field. Now, these look more like
kids.
Some of Robin's fantasy football buddies.
They do. Are they in your league, Rob? Is that guy in your league? Does he have Derek Carr? Yeah, that's a good photo, Megan. But yeah, there's guys my age doing that. Imagine that.
Well, and they were minutes away from leaving that stadium.
Yeah,
in the third quarter. If Nebraska just put that game away and then they choked it away.
It was a rough. I mean, that was a signature loss. If you call it, if you want to call it.
Nebraska was ranked going in that game. They were ranked.
And what were they up at halftime?
17-0, wasn't it?
I think it was 17-0, something like that. Yeah.
And
then what they do when it came out?
It was 17, and it should have been more than 17.
And what happened when they came out to start the second half?
They played.
No,
they got a delay game.
They got a delay on the first play, which you don't see very often.
That happened like 2 or 3 times under Frost.
My God.
All right. On that note,
no more talk about Prime.
I hope we don't have to witness that scene again on the field in Boulder. But